Are you ready to walk down a path of enchantment?
Dilly-dallying in Dolly World
Takes you to a reality with beings ranging from angels to listeners, all sharing thoughts on divergent subjects from desserts
to messages from beyond. Dilly-dallying in Dolly World.
Produced by Haggy Shack Radio's Colleen Kelly. You are listening to Wolf Spirit Radio.
Simulcast from Haggy Shack Radio. Hi, Dolly, and you are live.
Hi, Colleen. Hi, everybody. This is another Saturday, January 23rd, 2016, and we have a guest today, Eric Perry. I'll tell you about him in a minute. I want to get all my stuff done. For the ads, don't forget we're a listener not
supported.
Thank you. I'm so excited I can't even think. We're a listener-supported station, so please, if you can, donate some money so that we can get some equipment. Because the equipment that we have now is pretty old stuff. And we need new in order, or at least newer, in order to get better quality out of our productions. JP needs, where's JP's note? JP is needing a producer with audio and computer recording skills who can put Skype in a broadcast. He also is needing an expert who does shoutcast and SC trends. Okay, there's that. And we have the shitload of archives too. If you pay $5 a month, you can subscribe the $5 a month and get those archives, because we have years and years and years of archives, and they are very interesting. They are not automatically renewed. If you want to renew them each month, you have to do it. You have to remember and do it. Well, I think they might send you an email saying that your subscription's expiring, and if you want to renew, it's a reminder. Okay. Now, that didn't take as long as I thought it would. So, I guess I could really tell Eric he could call in anytime he wants to, right, Colleen?
He sure can. You told him 4:05.
4:05, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Colleen. Hi, Eric.
How are you?
I'm so excited and I'm so frustrated. We were having one hell of a time.
Well, that's the weather on the East Coast. What do you expect?
Yeah, well, that's true. And you got all that snow, too, didn't you?
No, we didn't get the snow at all.
Really?
Yeah.
How lucky can you get?
Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York, all got it. We didn't get it.
Wow. Well, where are you, Eric?
New Hampshire.
Oh, yeah, that's right, New Hampshire. You know what confuses me? You're from Manchester, New Hampshire. That puts an M in my brain, and I think Massachusetts. That's how my brain works. Well, anyway, Eric, I gave you an introduction already. I told him that I had met you years ago when Dave was still on this side, and that I had been kind of sort of following you on Facebook, and you were on Dave's, you had expressed that you were really wanting to get a TV show for your ghost hunting stuff, and that now your goals have been met.
Yes, my goals have been met. We've been working the last 3 years, myself and my partners, Dave Courier and my wife, Tanya. We've been doing this now for 3 years. We started back in 2013 with Haunted in New England. And Haunted New England is a labor of love for Dave and I. We've worked our fingers to the bones. We started out with 5 people. It was myself, Dave, and 3 investors. And then the investors decided to go to a different direction. And they went somewhere else. So it was just Dave and I. So in 2014, we took Haunted New England and tore it apart from the inside out and rebuilt it all to 2015, where now we're being invited to Heritage Days for cities and towns. We're also being invited by the U.S. government for investigations and state official investigations.
Ooh, I got goosebumps on that. Wow. Eric, you've come a long way.
Yeah, we're actually really enjoying what we're doing. We have a 22-man team with Haunted in New England, from here to Texas.
Wow. So, you have, like, satellite sites?
No, they're actually members of Haunted New England, actual members. We've actually had members come up from Texas to do investigations in New England with us.
Up from there. Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
So I'm so proud of you, Eric.
Thank you.
So proud of you. And I want to express to you, I am so very sorry about your recent loss of your mother. That has to be hard for you.
Yeah, but the good thing was I got a gift from my mother, because I ended up getting to the hospital late to see her goodbye. And, she left when I saw her last, when I was in the hospital room next to my brother. She stood in the doorway, waved to me, smiled, opened the door, and she went through a light. That's what I saw.
Wow. It's so emotional for me. Wow, Eric. You were really privileged.
Well, she was always proud in what I did.
So, do you think she'll come back and visit with you?
I think she's with my stepdad, and they're together where she wanted to be. And she's with her family too. Her mom and dad and aunts and uncles that she misses.
Yeah. I know they have to have a transition time when they cross over. And it always varies according to the being who has crossed over and the things they want to do on the other side before they make contact back here.
Right. And I know she'll have a message for my brothers when she's ready to do that.
Uh-huh. Is your brother psychic or something?
No, none of my other brothers are not really big into the paranormal.
Oh.
They're not into with it all. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, I understand where you guys are coming from. My brothers they're skeptic about it.
Yeah. Oh, I understand. If my family knew what I do, they'd have me locked up somewhere. In your travel to where you are now, how did you get discovered, or how did you end up in the TV end of it?
Well, what I started out with is I was with another television program. I'm not going to mention their names.
Okay.
And that was my launch into it. But I didn't like the practices that were being used at that point.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, I'm just going to take off. And I left. I took my team with me.
Uh-huh.
There was like name changes. They wanted my team to change the name from Haunted to New England to their names. And I'm like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Really? I've worked too hard for that team, my team's name.
Mm-hmm.
And as we were going forward, I said to myself, why can't I get myself onto TV and stuff like that? Now, with everything we've done as of late, as of Haunted in New England last year, being on the Wicked Housewives of Cape Cod TV show, and then investigating their home for a paranormal activity, which we got a Class A EVP of a little child saying hello right into the video camera.
Oh, how cool is that?
It was actually really cool because I didn't realize it until I got home and started watching the videos. So after that, it was just like, okay, let's just keep going.
So, do you get a lot of that where you get the voices that come through, but you don't hear them at that time, but you discover it once you are reviewing?
Yeah, because there's times, my wife goes out with us now, to do investigations like that. When we did the U.S. military base, it was interesting. She got to witness feet under a door.
She got to witness what?
Feet. There were feet underneath the door. They were walking around. Now, no one was in this restroom. The light was turned on, and there's feet under the door. You could see the feet moving underneath the doorway.
Wow. That's exciting.
Yeah. Now, this is a military base where these guys are all, they're veterans. They've been overseas and all this. And they don't want to be the last person in the building.
That's Cody.
Yeah. So they didn't really want to appear as being scared, but all of a sudden they all decided there was an emergency outside.
Yeah, when they were locking up the building for the night, they would just take off. They'd just run down the hallway and get out of the building as fast as they possibly could.
Yeah. I want to just express to you, Eric, that please don't get involved with Zach. He's too scary of a guy. He deals so much on the evil side.
Well, the funny thing is, with Haunted New England, we're staying clear of that.
Oh.
We're doing a lot of, we'll go out and do residential cases. We do, public investigations where we take the public out, like at public libraries.
Uh-huh.
We've been asked by numerous libraries to come in and investigate. We do different things in different things, but we don't go out. One of the biggest things that we have in our biggest bylaw in Haunted in New England is we do not provoke a spirit.
Yeah.
And we care about our community. So if you're going out scaring, you're going to get that reputation if you're going to scare these people in their homes.
Yeah.
We are just the opposite. We like to go into people's homes and help them instead of help them, really understand what's going on and not doing the whole Zach Bacon thing and saying, it's a demon, it's a demon.
Yeah.
I am so tired of hearing the word demon. It's unbelievable.
Uh-huh. Well, when you go out to the homes, are you asked into homes where they think they have dark spirits?
Yeah, we've been to at least one location, and this was, I'm not going to give you where the location was, but
right.
It was supposedly a well-known demonic house.
Mm.
And it turned out to be nothing of that matter at all. There was no activity whatsoever.
Well, I'm glad you didn't run across it, for your sakes.
No, but we've gotten to do some, interesting cases. Like my wife and I last year got to go to Virginia and do St. Albans Sanitarium, and that was an incredible investigation with that because we got to meet what's called the crawler, who's a misunderstood patient of the asylum.
Wow.
And he actually crawled on the ceilings, on the walls, on floors. He'll pop up out of the ceiling and look at you, everything like that.
Uh-huh. Wow. When you go out on these investigations, like the one where you went out to the dark place where they could have had dark stuff, but you didn't see it. How do you approach that before you get there? Do you do like protections on yourselves?
Yeah, when I went to St. Albans Sanitarium, I had the encounter with the crawler, and I was feeling drained with him. He kept following me around to let me know that he was there with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was doing a lecture at the asylum too, and what I did is Jeff Leeper, who's a minister, was there, and he actually blessed my cross for me that night. So when I was investigating that night with the public, so I wouldn't get, harmed of any matter because of what happened with the crawler. And it worked out fine. It worked out really, really fine. We had a good time. We enjoyed ourselves. And we just, each team member has their own beliefs, whether it's, Christian or Catholic or anything like that, or even pagan, or even Wicca. Everybody has their own religion. So each person does their own beliefs in the group.
I think that adds to the group. I don't in any way see it being harmful to a group. I think that all those things are useful with each other.
Right. And that's the whole thing is when we put this past year, putting Haunted in New England better together, we wanted to bring some of the best into the field, from the field, into Haunted in New England. And we're bringing the best in. We have a guy, his name is Paul Dixon. He's from New Jersey, and he has over 30 years in the paranormal field.
Wow.
So we have him with us, so he knows what he's talking about when he's out with us. We also have Stephen Flannery, who is very well known for his technical side, but also for his knowing how to do cleansings and protections stuff. We also have Alexis Doyle, who's an empath that's with us, and she's very well known in the paranormal field. So each person brings a different thing into the group that makes it, like my co-founder, Dave Courier. He's not only, my partner in Haunted New England, he's also my son's godfather. So my wife, him, and myself were all together as like one family unit.
Oh, that's nice. That's really nice. Because then when you get into sticky situations, you pretty well know each other and will know how to anticipate the other person's reactions and thoughts.
Right, and Dave's been with me when we've done investigations where I was standing there talking to a client. And he witnessed, and the client did too, and the client's mouth just dropped. This red scratch mark come right down my neck.
Oh my gosh.
Right in front of their eyes.
Wow. When you say Dave, who's Dave?
Dave is, Dave Courier. He's one of the owners of Haunted in New England.
Oh, okay. I kind of got a little spooked on that one. I thought, oh my God, Dave's with Eric too? I was thinking Dave Corso. Because he's with me a lot. I have a question for you from the listeners. What are the tools that you use to get voices or images?
We have a camera set up, just like they use on Ghost Adventures. We use that kind of camera. We use a Bell & Howell camera, which is, full spectrum camera to see anything at any length, but we actually put an extra full spectrum light on it to really light up the room, for anything that's moving around. We use, the new stuff that we're using is, GoPro cameras. They're easy to do, set up in a room, just let them be. They record sound, and they also record images. Then we also use, my wife's gonna be trying out this year, wrist recorders, a digital wrist recorder, so she can walk around and keep her hands free and it'll be on her wrist. So they can be used to do that. We use, the MF1, which does, EMF, temperature, and vibration.
Wow. I'm so amazed by how the technology end of it has progressed so rapidly.
Right. It has. It's done a lot, when it comes to, the paranormal field. Some of the equipment is starting to become antique, and some of it is now becoming more in tune. Like recorders. The digital wrist recorders are great because they just put on your wrist and you can walk around. But I also have handheld recorders. I use Olympus recorder, and I also use Tascam recorders and some other non-generic ones.
When you do this, when you're touring the house, is it completely dark? Or can you see where you're walking so you don't run into stuff? It's
usually completely dark. I have on occasion tripped over things.
Oh, bless your heart.
But it's, we do have it dark, but with the full spectrum light on, it does light up the place pretty good so we don't fall and hurt ourselves. Usually if we're in a basement, we just want to go black, totally black out. We'll set the IR light off or the full spectrum light off and just let the camera run in full spectrum without our light. It's light. So it's not so bright as the bigger one. So we do that way too.
Wow. Here's another question, Eric. I'm telling you, we're excited you're here. Can he discuss the orbs and his perspective on this phenomenon? Yeah, do you believe in the orbs that they're spirits, Eric, or do you just dismiss them? I know some dismiss them, and how do
we at Haunted, we actually use those as an educational tool for the homeowner. It has to be an orb to give us something that would make us scratch our head. Most of the time it's either dust, bugs, moisture, static electricity. But it's gotta have some kind of flight path. It's gotta have something distinctive. A friend of mine sent a video of some orbs that they caught, and you can actually see tails. So it made me think, okay, that tells me right there that that's something different altogether. Now they live in a schoolhouse that was built in 1800s. So for that, it's like, okay, that tells me you've got some kind of activity going on there by looking at those.
So there's really different kinds of orbs even.
Yeah, different colors and things like that. There's a book out that's called the Orb Project, and it's a great book to actually, listen, read and stuff like that. You can get it on Amazon. It's a small book, but it's a great read.
What's it called again, Eric?
The Orb Project.
Orb Project. Okay. Thank you. They got it. She put it, Colleen put it in the chat. Cool. Three Crow is asking these questions mostly, and she said there have been orbs around their tribal ceremonies. So I guess that's why she's asking.
It could be their ancient ancestors. We have done stuff with activity, Native American stuff, too. We've gone to locations up in North Conway where we've, been with the Abenaki Indians, during an investigation, and we got on our spirit box. We got, she's coming and we're dead on the spirit box. The next morning, we had a 400-pound black bear, female black bear, cross our path right in front of us at the hotel.
Wow. Wow. When you get these things and you're there and on the scene at the time you hear it, how does it make you feel?
Well, for my wife, she heard it and went back into the hotel. When you hear it for the first time, you hear that first voice, when you're just starting out on investigations, and you hear that first disembodied voice, it's like an electric charge. And I love it. It's so awesome to see and to hear. But when you start hearing voices that say, get out, leave, and stuff like that, when we were at this place being Native American, we actually, after we had done our investigation that morning, we actually went to a store that's in North Conway. It's a Native American store. It's run by a Native American Abenaki tribe. And we were to talk to them about what we encountered. And she said that was a gift from the ancestors of the land.
The bear was? Or?
The bear was, yeah.
Wow.
To say thank you, because what we did is we performed a spirit box session putting a person north, south, east, and west, and two people stood in the center. And then we did that.
That has to be so moving.
It was. It really made me open my eyes a little more.
after something like that, when the investigation is done and you go back to your rooms, are you able to sleep that night, or are you so full of excited energy that you can't?
Well, it depends. Sometimes I can. I usually do. And I actually have it on videotape of me sleeping. Prime example is the Libby house up in Gorham, New Hampshire. We were up there, investigating. We slept there for the night. It was really cold. The heater was broken, so the place was ice cold. So I'm bundled under the blankets and everything. I'm sound asleep. And I ran my video camera for the night to see if anything came out, because they reported in this certain area that things moved and apparitions were seen and stuff like that. And as I'm sleeping, you hear on camera, you hear something go, real loud on camera.
Uh-huh.
And I was sound asleep.
So you didn't hear it then?
Didn't hear it.
Wow.
But you could, during the whole filming of that, you could actually hear footsteps and door jingling and stuff of that nature.
In your room?
In the room.
Oh, wow, Eric. Does it ever scare you, when you know you're going to a certain place and you've done your research on it? Does it ever scare you to think, oh, I'm going to go there and do this, but you pursue it anyway?
Yeah, scare-wise, you always, when you're going on a location, you always have that little nervousness in the back of your head saying, should I really be going here? I've had myself, being at Penhurst Asylum, going there, being tossed across the room by a spirit. That was an eye-opener.
You physically were tossed across the room?
I was tossed across the room. When we were doing a thing, and they said, it will pick out the strongest member of the bunch, and it will let you know that it's in charge. And I was picked on.
Did you get hurt?
No, not even my camera got broken. I had my camera with me. And I had all kinds of equipment with me too, and that didn't break. I've had a cameraman who was at the Haunted Victorian Mansion, Gardner, Mass, up on the 3rd floor of the mansion. And the guys that he was with at the time, the team that he was with, he was filming them, and they were provoking. Now, one of the things I warned them about before going into the Victorian was never to provoke the Victorian Mansion, because you will have issues. Well, they did. As these guys were provoking, they picked my cameraman up and tossed it. The spirits actually picked him up and tossed him over a 3rd floor railing down a flight of stairs.
Oh my God, Eric. Was he hurt?
He did. He had some black and blues and stuff like that. We had to take him out downstairs to get him some fresh air and get him some water and give him a little bit of breather. After that, the camera was totally trashed when he fell. So he was hurt pretty good for a little while. He was sore.
Well, did he learn not to provoke?
Well, he wasn't provoking. He was just filming.
Oh, jeez. So he was kind of the innocent bystander.
Right.
Oh, jeez.
Right.
That provoking stuff really, it really frightens me to see somebody do it for what will maybe attach to that person and leave with them. In your investigations, are you cautious to make sure that you don't bring something home with you?
Yeah, we're always cautious, especially with myself and a couple of the other members of Haunted. We all have kids. So that's the main concern, is we don't want to bring anything home. My wife tells me all the time, if she's not with me on an investigation, she always says to me, make sure you don't bring anything home.
Yeah.
We don't need that kind of stuff here at the house.
How do you prevent that?
We do saging after we're done. Say a prayer and sage. We even sage our vehicles.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
But the weird thing is not our sage, we've done saging. My wife and I, we were, out, speaking of vehicles, we were out, shooting B-roll film for an episode of Haunted New England, and we were driving by the Hooksett Library, and we were just pulling up into it. We were just going by the nunnery, now that our condos, and as we go by, you hear a man inside the vehicle, and it's not me, and it's not my wife and my son was asleep in the car. You hear a man's voice say, "Turn around."
Oh. Wow. I would have thought, okay, does the turn around mean turn the vehicle around and run? Or does it mean turn around and look at me?
Right.
What kind of turnaround is this?
Right, you don't know. You really don't know. When we were doing all this, it was interesting because we were just shooting B-roll film, and we did look at one of the buildings, and you see this tombstone of a cross in front of the building.
And that was a real cross, or it was?
It was a real tombstone.
It was.
So, doing a little research, found out that usually if they put a tombstone cross or anything like that near their house, right next to the building, usually it was a child.
Oh. Yeah. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. But we were actually just, because we already filmed our episode of that with the public, because we were doing The Haunting of Dolly.
You were doing what?
Excuse me. The Haunting of Aggie at the Hooksett Library.
Oh, okay.
Aggie's a former librarian that haunted the library.
Uh-huh.
We had an 89-year-old lady with us from the public. And she was so funny. She goes, I said, could you let her know that you're there by touching her? Don't harm her, but you can touch her.
Uh-huh.
And she goes, I'm 89 years old. I don't care if you're a man, woman, child. I don't care what it is. Somebody touch me. I'm 89 years old. I'm not dead.
Yeah.
It made the episode more fun because she made that funny comment.
Yeah.
And a few minutes later, she got touched on her cheek. And the REM pod that was near her actually went off the same time it happened. So we have the correspondence of the REM pod and her being touched.
Oh, how cool. I bet that made her so excited.
It did. It really did.
That's special. Well, when you go on your shoots, do you have the public follow you around on them, or do you kind of sneak in and do it without anyone knowing?
Well, it's kind of funny is because if we're coming to town, like when we were in Scituate, about a week before we came to Scituate, they did a huge front page news story about Haunted New England and myself in the front page. And when we arrived in Scituate that day for the Heritage Days that they had, it was kind of funny. It was really kind of funny. We got there and they're like, "Hi, Eric," and waving and taking pictures of the vehicle because it had the logo on the side of the vehicle, stuff like that. And we set up our tents. By the time that we were done, we had tons and tons of requests for investigations because we had a tent set up so people could come and talk to us.
Uh-huh.
Now, that's one of the things that we at Haunted New England we do a lot of PR especially with the public. We'd like to do things with the public. If a library comes and says, "Could you come and do an investigation with the public?" We're like, "Yes, we'd love to come and educate." Same thing with like events like that, Heritage Days and stuff like that. We're like that. We love that kind of stuff. That's us.
Mm-hmm.
We're down to earth that we want them to have fun and enjoy it.
So when you say you do it with the public, what do you mean? Do you bring the people through with you during the investigation, or do you just allow a certain amount? What do you mean?
Yeah, well, what we'll do is we'll take, let's see, prime example, Goodwin Library. They ran a lottery. They chose 10 people to go with us.
Uh-huh.
And I had 5 investigators with me. So we could actually split up into two teams. 5 and 5.
Uh-huh.
And then plus the investigators. So there was me and 2 other investigators, and then there was another team of 2 other investigators. They were doing their thing, we did our thing. We started off in the Historical Society. They started off at the front desk.
Uh-huh.
So when that kind of stuff, it's a lot more fun when you bring the public in so you can prove and say, hey, this actually happened. You just saw that happen.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice that you do that. To include people in it, just ordinary, the people who live there, has got to put your name out there even more.
Yeah, and this year, our name is gotten out there even further, when they're starting to talk about you, in the state, Congress, and Senate House.
Oh.
What they're doing.
They do that?
They do.
Oh, Eric.
So that's a good thing.
Yeah. Wow. And I like how you do it so positively. If I was your wife, I'd sage you before I let you in the house. We'd have salt all around the house too. When you're prepping your vehicle to go on site, do you ever do any protection methods for that? Like, do you sage around it? Vehicle, and salt? Do you put salt in?
We'll throw salt on the vehicle. We'll sage the vehicle. We'll walk around, sage the vehicle, around the doors, the inside, everything, so everything's calm.
Have you ever had any incidents with your vehicles?
I haven't, but the Hooksett library was a person inside the vehicle with us, and we weren't even on investigation. No, but I've had investigators who have had issues. It was a running joke because my other team, Central New Hampshire Paranormal Society, whenever we were out on investigations, after we were done an investigation, it never failed. One of us would get pulled over by a cop. It never failed. It was like a curse to us. And every time we'd get pulled over.
What'd they pull you over for?
Either a tail light out or headlight out or,
was it legit?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it was always something like that, but then when you tell them you're a ghost hunter, they pretty much, okay, have a nice night.
Yeah. All right, this one's a flake. Let's get rid of him. Oh my gosh. So Eric, do you have any spirits in your house?
I actually do. My wife's grandfather. He comes to us every once in a while. He'll let us know that he's here. You can hear, we have carpet floors in our house.
Uh-huh.
And you can actually hear him with his boots walking on the floor.
Wow. I have spirits in my house, and I have 2 cats. I call them my girls. And the spirits play with the girls. Mm-hmm. And the girls will be staring at them. All of a sudden they'll run around the house for a while and come back to the same spot and look up, or they'll be batting at them, or you know that they're being played with. Right. Or they're chasing these imaginary toys around the floor.
Right. And that's, we have a cat. We have one cat. His name is Spooky. We went to an animal shelter, my wife and I. And I saw him. He's a tuxedo cat. They called him Tux. I'm like, okay, let's name him Spooky. And I was wearing my paranormal shirt and jacket and hat, so Spooky fit.
Oh yeah.
So he's our little baby in the house. He's playful when he wants to.
Wow. Hey, Eric, can you stay with me another hour?
Yeah.
We need to take a break here.
Okay.
For one thing, I have to go potty, but it helps to take a little break in between. Okay, don't go anywhere, anybody.
We'll be back in about 4 minutes.
All right, be back. See you on the other side.
You are back now.
I'm so excited. Ever since Eric said he'd come on the show, I've been super hyper because I'm so excited.
Oh, it's good for your blood pressure.
Yeah, it is.
Circulation.
So, Eric, we've got a couple questions since we've been gone. I'm telling you, thank you so much for coming and talking with us. Let's start with Nancy's question. She says, where is it? What does he think these spirits are, and why are they haunting? Oh, that's a good question.
Well, I think the spirits are of people that have unfinished business. They have something they want to get a message to a loved one, instead of, just, they're not every spirit's out to cause you harm or anything like that. They all want to communicate with somebody. They're not, I look at spirits as just somebody's loved one, a mother, brother, sister, father, someone's loved one that's passed on.
What? Okay, I agree with you there. Do you ever run into spirits in a house who aren't related to the people who live there?
Oh yeah. We've done several locations where they have nothing to do with the property. They're just passing through. So we have to look at what's known as ley lines, with that. If there's a ley line that runs through the property, which is pretty much just a paranormal highway.
Yeah, I've heard that before. Those ley lines can be little stinkers, but they can be blessings too.
Right.
Thank you for answering that. Here's another one my daughter came up with. Have you ever felt darkness in a place you're set up to investigate and walked out and had to apologize to the people because you felt, no, I can't, I don't want to go in there? Have you ever refused to do something even after you've set up and you walk in the door and then you say, no, I'm not doing this?
I think the one place that caught my attention was actually Fort Knox, up in Maine. We were investigating the old fort, Fort Knox, and there was a section that men could not go down because they would do harm. And I didn't even get in 2 feet in front of the door and down a hallway, and I had to turn myself around, but I couldn't do it. Someone just told me not to go down there. And I turned around and said, I can't do down there. That's the only time I've ever turned around from a location.
Wow.
I'll stay with the client as long as, necessary for an investigation.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So did you send a woman down there then?
We did. They had no activity. And none of the men in the group wanted to go down that hallway.
That is interesting. Wow. I don't know if I could do those kind of things that you do, Eric. I just talk to dead people. I don't investigate them. How was the reaction of the people at that Fort Knox when you turned around and the other men turned around and said, no, we're not going to go down there? Well, how did they react?
They were actually surprised, because usually I'm the fearless one. I'll walk into the fires of hell if I had to do what I needed to do. And, doing what needed to be done at that point, it was the right call for me. When it comes to investigation, that was definitely the right call.
Uh-huh. Oh, I agree. If you get that feeling, act on it.
Right.
So the women that went down there, did they volunteer or did you kind of turn there?
No, they volunteered to do.
Oh, nice.
I have some wonderful women, and that's the whole thing for me too. Is the other thing is the women in the paranormal field, they don't get half the recognition that the men do, and I think it's about time that they do get the recognition that is due. Like with my company, Haunted Productions, we have an all-female team. They're called Parasol Sisters. They're out of Iowa, and they don't get the recognition at all, being an all-female team.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's about time that these female teams get some more recognition.
I agree with you. I'm sitting here trying to think, now, why do the men get more attention, and people believe the men more than the women, and they have more confidence in the men than the women. I myself was guilty of that feeling.
I think it's always come down to, and my wife being in HR and everything, it's like, it comes down to, it's a dog eat dog world, and the networks and stuff like that look at men as more leading roles for paranormal stuff, even especially for TV shows. I've worked with some of the best women in the paranormal field out there, and still do to this day.
Mm-hmm.
I would work with it. Okay, here's an example. I have a case manager. Her name is Crystal. And also my one of my hosts for Haunted New England, Robin. These two women are absolutely the best in the field that are out there. These women know what they're doing. They work their butts off. If I have to tell them something to do, they do it. They get it done, with no questions asked. Crystal's been with me, for 2 years now, and same with Robin.
Mm-hmm.
And both of them take direction well. If I have a problem with tech, I got, Alicia Gardner, who's a well-known author, who's part of my tech crew. She actually manages it. So, I have a female tech manager. You don't see that too often.
It's because you're a brave man, Eric, and you can tell the world, huh, screw you, we're going to do what's the right thing here.
Right, and that's the whole thing, and that's the whole thing for Haunted. Now, with Haunted, we were getting noticed by different production companies and stuff like that, but it never panned out.
Do you know why?
I don't think they were ready for what we had as a formula. We want to show real paranormal. We want to show exactly what goes on in an investigation. Usually with the paranormal shows that you see on TV, it's 45 minutes of just pure entertainment. You don't really get to see a lot of the evidence. Now, during our investigations, you actually, when we put it all together for our episode, you'll get to hear that EVP that was caught in that area. And we'll mark it on the film for you, saying EVP caught here.
Uh-huh.
We'll do the same thing with everything else that we do. We saw an apparition move from here to here. We'll mark it on the film. So people could take their own judgment calls on it.
I like that. I wish I could see your show.
Well, you'll be able to see our show. Hopefully it's this week. I think it's the 27th or 28th. We're going to be on Amazon Prime.
On where?
Amazon Prime.
Amazon.
Yeah. You know the Amazon where you buy books and different gadgets and stuff?
Oh, yeah.
That's where we'll be. We'll be on Video on Demand.
Video on Demand. I'm writing this down here because my mind is so bad. Video on Demand. And that's either on the 27th or 28th?
That's what they're telling me.
Okay. Have to keep an eye out for that. Cool. Hey, Eric, when your show finally gets onto the TV, do you have music playing on it?
We do have an opening that has a little bit of music on it. We do not play music during the episode.
Bless your heart. I watch these shows and they've got the darn music so loud I cannot hear the people talking. And I think, well, this is a frickin' waste of my time.
Yeah, we're not big into that. Everything that we're doing right now, for Haunted in New England with Haunted Productions is just that. We want to bring you the best of the best in the field. And all these teams, we have 12 teams at Haunted Productions right now that are all moving with us to Amazon Prime. Mm-hmm. And they're all, ever since they've talked about joining us at Haunted Productions, they're getting success because they're getting calls from newspapers, TV news outlets, different things. asking them to do interviews
Wow.
that they didn't have before.
Very impressive. Do you have them follow your guidelines so that they don't go off half-cocked doing weird stuff?
Right, yeah, we do have guidelines. One of the things I'm really sick of seeing on paranormal shows is the butt shots climbing the stairs.
Oh, yes.
I am sick and tired of seeing butt shots.
Uh-huh.
That's one of the things I said, that's one of the guidelines I have, do not do that. Make sure you dress appropriately during investigations.
Yes, please.
Make sure, that, there's no swearing. I really don't want, Haunted Productions movies to go to an R rating. Shows go to an R rating or a PG-13 rating. I don't want to see that.
Yeah. Wait a minute. I drive you nuts, Barb? Barb just said I drive her nuts. Oh, no, she's saying not Dolly drives me nuts, the music does. I thought, oh my God, I drive her nuts. Then don't listen, Barb. Yeah, the music it really gets out of control. Because one of the investigators will turn to the other one and say, did you hear that? And I'm sitting there screaming at him, all I heard was the darn music.
Yeah, it can be a little bit monotonous when you're sitting there watching an episode. I'm a huge fan of Ghost Hunters and Ghost Adventures. I'll watch those shows and I learn different techniques on some of the stuff, some of the older episodes that they use compared to some of the newer stuff that they're doing now.
Yeah.
I like to see the different things that they did before they got all these gadgets.
Oh, it is fun. Yes, I make that comparison with them too. I started out with Ghost Hunters.
Same here.
And it was called something else before that, wasn't it? It wasn't Ghost Hunters. They had a different name.
TAPS?
TAPS. Yeah, TAPS.
Well, that's the Atlantic Paranormal Society.
Yeah.
They keep that's still what they use today.
And of course I got into Zach, cause that guy just fascinated me that he's so silly that he'll go in and ask them to please come and scare the bejeebers out of me, and then they scare him and he gets, well, you silly guy, you asked for it. And then I'm thinking, oh my gosh, is he protecting himself? What does he do after the show? Does he try to cleanse himself? And that guy I'm glad you don't do that.
No, we don't do any of that. You're not going to see guys, we're just everyday people.
Yeah.
We're not out to, wear the tight shirt, tight jeans, and look that way.
Yeah. Hey, Nancy is asking, how did he get into the business? So in the beginning, what made you get into that?
Well, let's see. It's been about 6 years that I started with Central. Back in 2010, I started Central New Hampshire Paranormal Society. And myself and my co-founder at the time, we talked about me being, wanting to start a team. First thing is we had to come up with a name. And I wanted to learn a little bit more before I started my own team. So I joined a team called New England Ghosts. Mm-hmm. And they taught me.
Oh, cool.
Really well what to do and what not to do.
Mm-hmm.
The team really opened my eyes. And then after about a year, I said to myself, I need to start my own thing. Get it moving.
Uh-huh.
So I had to think of a name. And I'm sitting there, I'm watching TV, and I'm watching none other than Chips on TV. And I said, okay, Central. I took the C, put an N in, put an H. The H was there. Took the I out, put the P and the S. Then you got Central New Hampshire Paranormal Society.
Pretty clever.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, that's easy enough to do.
Uh-huh.
And just recently, last year, I got to meet Larry Wilcox of Chips and told him about my team, my paranormal team, from Chips. He was one of the John Baker, on the show. And I got to tell him, and he was pleasantly surprised. He goes, "That's a first for me," when he heard that. And, our very first case we ever did, together as a team was, Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum down in Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
We figured either go big or go home.
Wow.
So we did that place. The second one, the day after we did that one, we shot over to Eastern State Penitentiary and did that one. Just about a month later after that one, we ended up doing the Merrimack County Nursing Home in Boston, New Hampshire. We did 5 buildings, and we had to bring in 3 teams to help out.
Holy cow, that was big.
Yeah, so for me to get going like that, that's how we got Central going. But my first paranormal experience was when I was in the 6th grade at the House of Seven Gables in Salem, Massachusetts, when I saw a shadow go from left to right. I touched on the shoulder and I heard "get out." I ran like a little schoolgirl right back on that school bus as fast as I could.
Oh, you were just a kid, bless your heart. But then that kind of sold you on?
Shortly after that, well, sort of. When I was in my teenage years, I actually became a grave digger for a cemetery. In where I grew up, in the town I grew up in, Lynn, Mass. I became a grave digger. And, that kind of sparked me interest because not only during the time I was there, I got to see shadow people during the day, and stuff like that. You just always wanted to look over your shoulder that something wasn't gonna bother you.
Uh-huh. So when you were thinking about going into the ghost hunting itself,
mm-hmm.
You kind of did it out of self-protection?
Sort of. I think one of the things that it was the 80s. I was a teenager.
Uh-huh.
I was pretty much into the rock and roll and party scene at that point. And I didn't really give it any thought. But when I got into my 40s, late 30s, early 40s, I decided it's time for me to move forward.
I'm so glad you got to do that. Not everybody can realize their goals in life like you have. And I can just see yours is going to grow and grow and grow, Eric. I hope you're ready for it.
My wife and I were, she keeps me grounded. That's the whole thing, is you gotta have somebody that keeps you grounded.
Yeah.
And my wife keeps me grounded. If she thinks my head's getting too big, she'll say, "You need to back it down, chill out, relax, don't oversell yourself, just be yourself."
You're fortunate to have her, yeah.
Yeah. Well, see, the thing about Haunted is we're a little different from most paranormal teams. We actually have an HR department, a human resource department.
Oh, wow.
Which my wife is in charge of because she has 13 years experience in the field of HR.
Uh-huh.
And she actually went to college for it. So she has that background. So she handles complaints, say, from the team members. We don't tolerate any swearing. Dress code is very strictly enforced for investigations. If they have a problem with one of the, say I walked up to my wife and I said, "You look nice in your jeans, honey," and she and another investigator was in the room and felt uncomfortable after I said that to my wife, that's sexual harassment.
Oh, and I was thinking, well, that was nice.
Oh yeah. So you can't do that, So that person would bring it to my wife's attention, and my wife would handle it accordingly. If it's a reprimand with a member being disrespectful to somebody, then we handle it. Uh-huh. Then after she's done, if it doesn't get resolved by her, we have a 3-strike warning. You get a verbal, written, and dismissal.
Wow. Have you had to exercise that?
No.
Oh, thank goodness.
Everyone understands that. And everyone that comes aboard Haunted New England is doing just that. They know what their jobs are. When we get to a location, they know who goes inside to do the interviews with the client and who does not.
So you have it all pre-planned.
We have it all pre-planned, yep.
That's good. That's very good. Organization. I like organization. Of course, I get very disorganized in my organization at times, but I like it. They're asking, do you have a website, Addie, that people can go to?
Yeah, we have,
can you type that into the chat, or are you at a keyboard?
I'm not at a keyboard, but I can give it to you folks if you want to hear it.
Okay.
It's www.hauntedinnewengland.com.
Is New England spelled out?
Yes.
www.hauntedinnewengland.com?
Correct.
Okie doke, we got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So that way people can go, and they will. They'll be checking you out, Eric. It's amazing how word of mouth can get from like Venice, Florida. It goes all the way around the world and it hits Venice, Florida again. It's a small world.
Well, we've been getting phone calls, last year. I won the Paranormal Awards last year. I won the highest honor during the Paranormal Awards, which was the IPAA Award, which is the International Paranormal Acknowledgement Award for Education.
Wow.
And it's the highest honor any investigator can get.
Very nice.
And I'm the first recipient of it.
Oh! Well, I hope you get it next year, too.
Yeah, I did put in for it this year. Just like, I'm too busy.
Oh, you didn't?
No. I really, this year I was like, I'm too busy to do anything with the award because we did so much traveling, this past year.
What do you have to do for it?
You have to be, nominated. Someone has to nominate you to be in the awards. I'm not sure if they're doing the awards anymore. She did it for as long as I remember, 3 years. Mm-hmm. And in those 3 years, I've won 3 awards. First one was for humanitarian. Second one was for leadership. And third one was for education.
Wow. Pretty nice, Eric. Now, were those trophies or plaques that you hang on your wall?
Actually trophies. They're actually sitting in my living room.
Oh, how fun. Well, I don't know. You have to dust them.
I can't remember the last time I dusted them.
Let your wife do that, but don't tell her I said it.
Oh, no. The apple takes care of the house.
Oh, gosh.
I like my wife to relax and take it easy sometimes.
That's wonderful. That is nice, Eric.
Yeah.
I have seen in reading different things every once in a while. I don't get into Facebook that often, but when I have read your thing, I've seen where you are so respectful to your wife, and I can see the love in your words.
It's not love, it's fear. I fear her.
Oh, Eric.
I fear my wife very much.
As well he should.
Oh my God, there's that voice out of the air. Is that you, God?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, we have fun on this show.
Yes, we do.
So Eric, do you have anything fun and exciting that I haven't asked you about?
Well, right now we're taking teams aboard Haunted Productions right now, and we have a show that we're working on. I can't talk about. Oh. It's gonna change a few things in the paranormal fields.
Really?
A little bit. This show is gonna make people want to watch. Because it's not only about a haunted location. It's going to be about something else also. So it's going to be interesting.
You can whisper it to me. I won't tell anybody.
No, I can't. I promise I won't say anything.
Well, tell me when you can tell me, okay?
I will.
Hey, when you go into public places like a public restaurant or store or anything, do you ever feel the presence of spirits?
I've come across a few. I do get some looks from people when I say, yeah, there's something here.
They'll have to get over it.
Well, when my stepfather passed away in 2012, I went to the hospital to say my goodbyes because he was still alive at that point.
Uh-huh.
And walking down the hallway, my shoulder got pushed by somebody in the hallway.
Wow.
That wasn't there.
Uh-huh. I understand that, yeah.
And I got to my dad's room, and I saw my dad's mother standing over his bed, waiting for him.
Ah.
So that told me right there that he was going to be with his mother, where he wanted to be.
I did some independent CNA work, and one of them was a lady in a nursing home. And she started talking. They said, oh, she's just talking to herself. She's having illusions and things like that. And I knew she was talking to spirits who had been there to get her ready to go. Mm-hmm. And she was able to talk to me about it too. And it helped, it seemed to calm her.
Right.
I wish more people were open to that kind of activity happening when they're close, people are close to making the transition from this side to the next.
Yeah.
I really wish that they could help the people, not hinder them by saying, oh, that's stupid, or you're not really hearing or seeing that. Well, yes, they are.
Right, right.
And it upsets me when people are told, like, to ignore that kind of thing. And I am so glad you've had these experiences, like with your mother and with your stepfather. And that is really nice, Eric, that you've had that privilege.
You know, I love everything about the paranormal. One of the things that I really hate to see in the paranormal, and hate's a strong word, is this this drama movement. There are so many teams. This team's better than that team. That team's better than this team. It's all this drama.
Yeah.
You know, we're all in the science part of this field. We're all scientists.
Uh-huh.
One theory might not work for one person, might work for another. You know,
right.
We're all in fringe science. Why should we sit back and bicker with one another?
Absolutely. Do what works and be glad that that person has different things that work for them than work for others. And I think they should all encourage each other instead of the bickering.
Correct.
We have another question here.
Sure.
Has Eric had paranormal experiences with artifacts?
We did. We actually did an investigation at an old barn. That turned out they kept a lot of old artifacts in this barn, plus the hotel itself, where they had an old grandfather clock that something was attached to it. Our meters would go off. Thing wasn't plugged in, wasn't even running, and it kind of caught that kind of stuff going on. So we had our meters going off. We heard footsteps and voices along the way too.
Were you able to connect them with the?
We found out that there was a little girl that was raped and murdered at this location back in the 1800s.
Now, before you go to places, do you do research on them?
Yeah, well, sometimes we'll do research beforehand. Sometimes we like to go in cold turkey.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, because sometimes we want to go in and see, you know, take the client's claims out the window. Let's find out exactly what's going on. Because sometimes these stories that clients tell you are a little exaggerated for what's really going on. We take some of them like shadow people, we'll take that. Voices, we'll take that. Certain things we'll take.
Well, while you're doing your research or endeavoring to do that, did you ever think of sending someone to the library or city hall or to track down, do research on the property and the house and the people?
Right, we do that. We do have researchers with Haunted that handle that kind of stuff where they go to the library. We'll even look up real estate listings on the property because real estate agents list just about everything on this when it comes to this stuff. We'll go to the library and look up old archived newspapers. We'll look up city hall records because you can find out anything about a property by looking at it, looking at city hall records of a property, and that's public knowledge. That's public access. You can actually go and do that kind of stuff.
Well, like Steve on Dead Files, he does all that research stuff. That's what I was asking. If you do like he does.
Yeah, we do that. We use the internet. We use everything at our possible tools that we can do.
And then when you do your show, do you throw the things in that you found in your research?
No, we do not. The reason we don't do that is because with some of it, especially with some of the show, we got to be really careful because we there's a fine line between fact and entertainment. It's that fine line, which you see when you see Zach and his crew do that stuff.
Yeah.
You notice when they do the scary monsters and ghostly looking figures in their videos. We don't want to do that.
Good.
We'll interview like American Stonehenge. We were filmed for NBC TV with American Stonehenge. And we got to sit down. I got filmed by a producer of the show. And we took people out and investigated with us. And it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing that the response that we got after we did that show. Because people, like, you told the truth. You didn't have to lie about anything.
Yes. That's what people want, Eric. Yeah. Yeah, the dramatic stuff that goes on some of the paranormal stuff is just really getting out of hand.
Well, see, we're starting, this year, we're going to have somebody that does a voiceover for us. You know how you see on Ghost Hunters, you see a guy go, tonight on Ghost Hunters, the team investigates that kind of guy? We actually have one.
Oh, nice.
For Haunted in New England. But it's not only for Haunted in New England, he's actually going to be doing it for all the teams in Haunted Productions. So it'll be the same guy.
Oh, how nice. See, you're really getting up there. Hey, where'd my note go? I was going to ask you something. Okay, so, Eric, you got all these titles now. You got all these different hats you're wearing. Like owner and producer of Haunted in New England versus, excuse me, I got a cough. Hold on, I got a cough. My voice does this, especially when I do my reading show. Owner at Haunted Productions, owner at Spooky Jewelry, and editor at Ghost Pictures and Photos. Do you do all this in one building, or are you running your tail around to all these different buildings? How do you juggle all these things that you do now?
Spooky Jewelry is run by my wife and I. You can find us on our Facebook store.
You want to give your Facebook?
Yeah, it's Spooky Jewelry. Pretty much on Facebook. You can find us right there.
Okay.
And you can go there. We have crosses there and different things for jewelry. We also have with Spooky Jewelry, it was something my wife and I wanted to do together. Besides doing the paranormal stuff, we wanted to bring some kind of unusual jewelry to the people. We actually, last year, got into our first store in Pennsylvania with our jewelry line.
Oh, nice.
The Silver Broomstick, which is actually a Wiccan store.
Wow.
So we're actually down in Pennsylvania. So we did that. The ghost videos and photos.
Wait. You want to tell the people where this store is located so they can go?
I forget the name of the town it's in, but I will put a link up on my Facebook or whatever if anybody's following me on Facebook.
Okay.
So you can go to it. We're also, with Spooky Jewelry, it's just, my wife and I, we sit at the kitchen table and we build our pieces.
Sounds like our Shungite Nancy. She and Walt build their Shungite jewelries too.
Yeah, we love it. So it's something that her and I got to do as a hobby together. And I actually made, when I got married in 2013 to my wife, I actually made my crosses for my best men.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, it's something, they all have one. It's something that they will remember for the rest of their life.
Well, yeah. That's a keepsake. And tell me about your editor stuff. Tell me about
the editor stuff is pretty much, I'm just like, I watch what's being posted on the page, that's run by, a friend of mine. She asked me to be an editor, to monitor, stuff like that. Pretty simple. I don't really have to do too much with it.
What page does she do? What is this page?
This ghost photos and videos and pictures and all that. It's like, they have a huge fan base. Very huge fan base. And what it is you get to see stories and readings and pictures from people that are actually in the paranormal field.
Oh, Eric, where can we find that?
Right on Facebook. Same thing.
On Facebook. And you're in your site on Facebook.
My Facebook, I have several. I have Central New Hampshire Paranormal Society, which is on Facebook. I also have, Haunted in New England, which is on Facebook. Haunted Productions is also on Facebook. And Spooky Jewelry, of course, is on Facebook.
Wow, you are a busy guy. So I'm really interested in that photograph one where we can see the pictures. Which one is that one on?
That's on Facebook. It's called Ghost Photos and Videos, I believe it's called.
Ghost Photos and Videos. Let me type that down.
And if you click the link where on my Facebook page where it's listed as my thing, you can actually go to that site.
Oh, cool. Okay. So does that take a lot of your time? Or do you just cruise it quickly?
Well, I take a look at that, just, keep it so there's no arguing between people. If I kind of moderate what's going on. If someone has a complaint if someone's making fun of somebody's photo, that person's removed from there and blocked immediately. Oh. Because the site is actually made to help educate and learn and to, it's all for the right reason that this lady did, my friend of mine did this whole website for me.
Do you get pictures sent to you?
I do. Every once in a while I'll get pictures sent to me. I'll get EVP sent to me. Different avenues have been moving forward with that kind of stuff. If I don't know the answer to it, I send it to a friend of mine that probably do.
Wow. Pretty nice. Do you ever have, I just have to ask, do you ever have contact with the ghost hunter peoples like Jason and his crew?
I've met Joe Chin, at an event, and I met his sister Christine. Mm-hmm. I met Jason briefly, but the rest of them, not so much.
The one I liked off Ghost Hunters was Amy.
The one person I do talk from Ghost Hunters, we talk about every couple months is, Donna LaCroix.
Oh.
Uh-huh. I talk to her once in a while, and she is such a lovely lady. Down to earth and stuff of that nature.
Yeah, she came across that way.
Yeah.
I am just so excited to be able to see you. I'm going to have to join the Amazon Prime, I guess.
Well, you can actually go in there and find my book also.
You got a book?
I do.
Well, Eric, be telling us this so we can advertise it. What's your book?
It's actually called Paranormal Questions of the Day, Book 1. No. And it's an interesting book. The reason it's an interesting book is this book will help educate new paranormal investigators coming into the field. It is a book that has thousands of questions from paranormal. I asked for about 2 years. I asked questions of the day, paranormal questions of the day, to the public and to my Facebook friends. And when they answered these questions, you get to see what their answer really is. And it was taken and put into a book. Wow. So you get to sit there and read the book and go, ooh, that's interesting, that's interesting, that's interesting. They said that? But there's also in there, you have short stories by 4 different paranormal teams that actually had investigations that they told their story about the place.
Oh, now that would be very interesting. I gotta go check that book out.
So, and the artwork was done by a good friend of mine who's an artist, Dennis Moreno, and it shows me on the cover with a ghost.
And it's a real thing?
It's actually a cartoon version of me.
Oh, okay.
And it's a really good book, and some of the stuff that was, that people like about it, and it was actually featured on another radio show, for a whole year. They asked questions from my book on a radio show.
Well, Eric, I have a show called Dolly Reads for You on WSR.
Yep.
It's on Tuesdays, 2 to 4. Can I read your book on that show?
You certainly can.
Oh, hot damn. Okay, now I'm even more excited. And we have heard it, the writer of the book. Oh, that's exciting. I see, you guys, I was telling you that this last Tuesday we need to get another book because we're in the last 2.5 chapters of the book I'm reading now, the lucid dreaming. And look, here's Eric, and here's our next book.
Well, at least this one didn't fall on your head.
No, thank God. This one kind of fell in my ear. The books that I've been reading they fall on my head, literally, off a shelf, or they fall on the floor in front of me, or I'm running my hand up to get a different book that I have in mind, and all of a sudden my hand's on this other book that it's very evident I'm supposed to pick that book to read. It's incredible how these books that I read end up coming to me.
Well, see, my wife and I went out last week and we bought books. She wanted a new Bible. My wife's favorite color is purple, so she actually bought a purple Bible. So she wanted a Bible, and I said, okay, because it relaxes her when she reads it, she says.
Oh.
So I said, okay. And so she got that. But she knew that with things going on with my mom and everything, she actually bought me a few books as a gift. She bought me, the new one from Jason and Grant called The Ghost Files. So she got me that, and then she got one that I was mentioned in, and I didn't know that I was mentioned in until I got the book.
Oh, wow.
Called The Haunted Hillsborough County by Eric Stanley. And I'm actually mentioned in the book.
Wow. So were you glad you were, or was that one of these things of, oh, I wish I wouldn't have said that?
No, I was actually glad. This is New Hampshire, and I'm glad to be mentioned in a book that's New Hampshire.
Nice. Things just happen at the right time, Eric. They really do. And I think you got on the road, just at the perfect time for you in your life.
Well, it took a lot of work. Especially when it came to Amazon. It took me just about 3 years to negotiate with them to get our videos put onto their video on demand.
But it happened. and it seems to have happened at the right time. All your 3 years of work was lining up to come out that time.
Right. Because we just started off on public access TV when we started Haunted New England. We were just interviewing paranormal celebrities and stuff like that on our network. And when we were on Channel 23 in Manchester, now we go from public access TV to worldwide TV.
Yeah, wow. Isn't it amazing what the internet has opened to us? All the people that we can meet that we wouldn't have been able to meet and talk with and share with. I'm so thankful that I was able to be on the same show you were way back when.
And same here.
And it brought us together today.
Yes, it did.
Just wonderful. Okay, I was asked the question if our Dave has anything to say about this, and let me try to tune in for a second. By our Dave, you know who I'm talking about, Eric?
Yep.
Okay.
I do.
Let me see if I can, because he's not here with me right now. Okay, here he comes. Of course, he's taking some credit for you getting some exposure. And he's laughing. Of course, it's all my doing, Dolly, yada, yada. He's teasing now. But he says he's very proud of you. And there's something to do with the tent that he's showing me, a tent that you have. Something like there's a crack in it.
We just bought that's the funny thing. My wife and I just bought, a tent. A 10-person tent. Do I have that right, honey? A 10-person tent? I'm guessing so. For us to take our son camping this year.
Uh-huh.
So we just got one.
Wow. Is there a hole in it?
No, there's no, there better not be.
Did you have an old one that had a slit in it or something?
I think so.
He's showing me you had a tent with a slit in it.
I might have at one point.
Okay, he's trying to prove to you that I have him. We always have to go through the proof stage.
Right.
But he says you're doing one hell of a job. Keep it up. And he's going to check in with you periodically.
Awesome.
Yeah. So there you go, folks. The listeners love to hear from Dave. Thank you, Dave. Thank you very much for coming and sharing. I know. Goodbye. He's busy. He's on his way. He's gone. He's busy. Let me see. Nancy wants to know if you can hang on longer for Say What. Oh, Eric, there is a show after this one that they end up usually talking about things that have gone on my show. And sometimes they bring in who has been on my show. They're wanting to know if you can stay a little longer for the show called Say What. If you can't, we understand, but they're invited.
I would love to, but I have a little 2-year-old that's getting a little hungry.
Oh! Poor baby. You gotta feed your baby.
I do.
Okay, sorry guys, he can't make it today. You'll have to ask him for another time. Would you come on another day for Say What?
I would be honored to.
Oh, hallelujah. There you go, girls. He'll come on your show just for you guys.
Yay!
Wonderful. I am so glad, Eric, that we were able to connect and you were able to come on today. And I'd like to have you come on again in the future if you can.
I would love to.
Oh, thank you so much. And I appreciate you did come on Skype. What was your reason for wanting the phone?
It just sounds clearer sometimes on the phone compared to on Skype.
Oh.
Skype has its, has its difficulties. We all know how Skype is at times.
Yeah. Well, we've been pretty fortunate. They're asking, have you been on Tracy Kennedy's show or Two Dogs show?
No, I have not.
There you go, Barb. He answered your question.
I would love to if anybody wants to connect me with him.
I think she's talking to this white sky cloud that just came in the chat room.
Oh, okay. 'Cause I couldn't that connection.
Make that connection. Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Tracy talks about different stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, wonderful. I am excited, tickled pink. And I'm so proud of you, Eric. You got my backing with my words. I can't give you any other kind of backing.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. And, do you have anything else you can share with us? Any fun stuff to leave the audience with?
Yeah, just make sure that you keep an eye out because you're going to be seeing, a really cool vehicle, coming from Haunted in New England shortly. We actually have one of our members is actually decking out his Hummer. It will have Haunted New England all over it. It has a blue light inside. It'll also have green flashing lights. So you'll be seeing us, if we're in your area, you'll be seeing us at a location with these lights going and everything else. It'll be like our mobile command unit.
Oh my gosh. It's a Hummer?
It's a Hummer.
Okay, we'll be looking at what color?
It is gold.
Gold. How could you miss
But you can't miss my wife's Jeep. We actually have it out when we go out. It's a blue Patriot Jeep and we go out and, we have the Honda logos on the side of it. It's kind of funny when you're riding down the street and you have anywhere between 5 to 8 vehicles that all have Haunted New England on the side of them going to a location.
Are they black, Eric?
No.
Oh,
we
good,
got blue,
because I'm thinking
silver,
I was thinking they'd probably think you were a funeral procession. Hey, Eric, Nancy says that they would love to have you on Cosmic Reality Show too. That has Nancy Hopkins and Walt Silva as the hosts, and they also would like to contact you and get you on their show.
I would love to.
Fantastic. They know where to go on Facebook. That's where I caught him, you guys, was on Facebook. Go to his Facebook site, and you can message him and get him that way.
Send me a friend request because I'm nearing the 5,000 mark as it is now.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Send him a friend request, y'all. on their shows. This is fantastic. It's going to get you out even more, Eric. Not that I think you needed it.
Well, see, what we do is, with Haunted, we do a lot of media. We do not only on Facebook, we do a lot of other media sites. LinkedIn. We do, Twitter. We do all these different media outlets to get the team known.
Great. I think you're going to get known in this section of the world now, in the wolf spirit section, and I'll go out from there. And that's as many sections of the world you can get out in is good.
Yeah, because one of the places my wife and I discussed about going for investigation is actually Ireland.
Oh, I'd love that. In Scotland.
Yes, that's my wife and I talked about that. That's one of the things that I would love to go and do.
Hey, are you ever going to get down to Venice, Florida?
We are trying. We might be in Virginia, in June at St. Albans. This will actually be a meet and greet with the Haunted Production crew, and teams of Haunted Productions at St. Albans Sanitarium, where you actually get to come in and do an investigation with the teams of Haunted Productions.
In Virginia?
In Virginia.
Yeah, but that's not close to Venice, Florida.
I'm sorry, but that's the closest we're getting so far.
Eric.
if I had my way, I'd pack my wife up and my son. We're heading south.
Yeah. Hey, if you ever do, like Sarasota or Venice.
That's actually where I was born, was Sarasota.
Oh, then you know where Venice is.
I do. I
Down
actually
south.
Right. I actually, I lived right on the border of Sarasota and Venice.
Oh, how cool. Small, small world we live in. Did you live in the Nokomis area? Or Osprey?
I don't remember. It was so long ago.
Yeah.
And all I knew is I lived right on that line. My mom talked about it, and stuff like that when I lived down there. But there's also somebody else that actually, who was, from Sarasota, Florida, down in Sarasota was, the Randy Macho Man Savage from the WWE. He was actually a, Sarasota native.
That name sounds very familiar to me.
He actually passed away, I think it was about 2 years ago. He was the guy that was with the Hulk Hogan and stuff like that.
Oh.
He was with all.
Uh-huh. That's where I've heard the name then. Wow. Well, we're gonna have to wrap it up because I gotta get off so the other girls can get on.
Okay.
But thank you, Eric, and be looking for their requests because I'm sure you're going to get 3 of them. Barbara Three Crows show. Nancy's got 2 of them. The 2 that I told you and I can't think of right now.
Live and
Thank
Cosmic Reality.
Yes. And what's Barb's show?
Barb's is Beyond Reality.
Beyond Reality. Though you'll be getting requests for those 3 shows, Eric.
I look forward to it.
Thank you. And tell your wife thank you very much for having patience for the 2 hours.
I will.
Go feed your baby.
All right. Guys, have a nice night, and I'll look for you guys on Facebook.
Thank you, Eric. Night.
Night.
Oh my gosh, you guys. I am so excited. I think this was wonderful. I thoroughly enjoyed this and I hope you all did too.
I very much agree, and I know the chat room does too, because they've been busy.
Oh, good. Good. All right. Well, I'm sorry we couldn't get him to go on Say What with y'all.
That's okay. If you want to, you can come in too.
Okay. Thanks, guys, for listening. I love y'all. See you next week. Same time, same place.
Bye, Dolly. Love you.
Love you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.